Because right now, Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome inside the Fan Cave. This is the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. You see the number to call, 575-2600, area code 412. Bob Pompeani with you until 11 o'clock. Call us and air your opinions. You can also do it on X. It's at KD Pomp. A lot to get into. Of course, the Steelers coming off a big opening preseason Game 1 win, which was highlighted, of course, by the outstanding play of the quarterbacks. Today, they got back to it. Final install before the next game coming up against the Jets Friday at 7. You'll see it also on KDKA TV. And Steelers have some very interesting questions to answer as this thing moves on. Like, how many quarterbacks do you think they should keep? Historically, it's been 3, but there are exceptions when 4 becomes 1. Back in 1995, Bill Cowher had 4, but one of them was Cordell Stewart, who was just emerging as slash, not so much the starting quarterback or even a backup quarterback at that time. But this is also an extenuating circumstance, is that they don't have someone beyond Aaron Rodgers for next year, at least someone for certain. And so they may want to keep 4 around. How do you do that? Is there someone else who loses a job on a 53-man roster because of keeping 4 quarterbacks? One of them could be Caleb Johnson. He has not gotten a lot of opportunity in this training camp. And remember, he was drafted by Mike Tomlin and company, so this is a different regime, and they may not have any allegiance to him. But it's tight all the way around. There are a lot of good competition going on in all these positions. We'll see what they do this Friday against the Jets. But, you know, Joey Porter Jr. is still without a contract. I'd like to hear from all of you about your thoughts on this. Is he worth it if it gets up over $30, maybe to $33 million a year? Because Devon Witherspoon just got that from Seattle, $33 million. If you look at their career numbers, Joey Porter actually has more interceptions than does Witherspoon. Witherspoon and Joey Porter almost have the same amount of pass defense. You know, Witherspoon was on a championship team this past year, so that certainly helps the resume. And he's considered one of the young guys. He's younger than Porter, so that helps him as well. But you know, Porter's going to want what he thinks is his, and what is his is the question. How much do you think he is worth, and how much do you think the Steelers will allow it to go up there, you know, in terms of guaranteed money, total money, average money, whatever the case may be? We saw them give up $18 million a year to Keanu Benton. Now, a lot of people have met that with, why are you doing it? Well, I think the answer is because ultimately he's one of the young guys who is looked at as a replacement for Cam Hayward whenever that happens, although Cam may play till he's 50 the way things are going. But, you know, he's a guy they can get now. He had a good season last year at 5.5 sacks. In 2 years from now, if he does, you know, get better and better each year, the $18 million, given the way the salary cap goes up, will be looked at as a bargain probably. Same is true of Herbig, same is true of Washington. But yet Porter's the guy who doesn't have one right now. So I'd be interested to get your take on that at 412-575-2600. Also, we'll get into the Pirates and Paul Skenes and what's going on with Skenes. We talk about that tonight a lot on the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. Today, the Pirates won a series for the first time in 8 series, believe it or not. It's gone a long time, and this is why they're 6.5 out of that final wild card spot. They picked a bad time to go on in a sustained losing streak, but they rectified it today by winning 2 of 3 from the Boston Red Sox. And they got some early offense in that game, 2 in the bottom of the first, and then 5 in the bottom of the third to make it a 6-0 game as they move on to win 8-3 your final score. Detroit in town tomorrow. Skenes is expected to pitch on Wednesday after he was skipped today. And it's pretty alarming, I think, when bullpen games are more successful than Paul Skenes starts. But over, you know, last several months, that's the way it's been. And hopefully everything's okay there and he gets back on track, because obviously he is a difference maker. But we've seen that velocity go lower and lower. It is concerning, and nobody seems to have a direct answer as to why. 412-575-2600. Call right now. Let us know what you think. We're live tonight, KDKA Plus, as well as 93.7 The Fan. This is the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. We do it 7 nights a week right here on KDKA Plus. All right, welcome back. This is our Xfinity tweet of the night. PGAtour.com put it out. Youngest to reach 21 wins. Well, Jack Nicklaus did it. Tiger Woods did it. And now it's Scotty Scheffler. He wasn't as young as those two guys, but still 21 wins. Over the last 5 seasons, since Scheffler became a major star on this tour, 21 wins for him. The next guy close to him is Rory McIlroy with 11, and the Victor Hovland with 6. That's it And he ran away with this one today. We take a look at some of these highlights that happened at St. Jude's in Memphis, and this was the first leg of the FedEx Cup playoffs. Beginning tonight, we'll get right to the lines. Dave in Harmony is our first caller. Hello, Dave. How are you?
Oh, just fine.
Okay, what's on your mind, Dave?
Well, you're talking about Joey Porter, and like, should they do this and should they do that? Personally, Joey Porter's never really impressed me that much. He's always beat, and he draws a lot more penalties than he actually breaks plays up. I mean, I just don't think he's as good as they give him credit for.
Well, he hasn't allowed a touchdown in over a year. That's good work.
But he draws the penalties doing it.
Yeah, but the penalties have been reduced drastically from 2 years ago to last year. So it's gotten better with that.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
And the way this game goes, whoever gets the latest amount, everyone's looking to change it and get more. The question is, do you view him as a $33 million a year cornerback? I think, the Steelers probably be okay with 25, 26, 27. But when it gets up to that level, I don't know. And keep in mind, his father, Joey Porter Sr., once had a contract situation with the Steelers here. He left and he went to Miami. And 2 years after that, had one of the best, in fact, the best sack season of his career, over 17 sacks with the Dolphins. So he's going to get advice from his dad, of course. And, this is very intriguing how it's going because they've already signed guys who aren't even regular starters in that. Nick Herbig got $100 million, and we saw Keanu Benton, who does play a lot, but still, he wasn't the guy who everybody looked at and said, oh, you need to get him signed up right now. And neither was Darnell Washington, but they did all those guys. I still think they'll sign Porter, but it's becoming a little bit more tricky because of the money that you've seen spent over the course of this past season with 5 different guys getting more and more and more, and now Witherspoon has $33 million. Thanks for the call. Let's go to Red in the South Side. Hello, Red. How are you?
Hey, this is Brad, man, not Red.
All right, Brant, go ahead, man.
It's all good. How you doing, Bob?
Good. What's up?
I just wanted to talk about these quarterbacks, man. I just want to say I hope they don't wash Howard out and keep Rudolph the Red Nose, because I think Howard deserves a chance. What you think?
Yeah, but I think, they're in a different kind of situation. They're not kicking on this year. They want to win this year. And I think for an insurance policy, it's better to have Rudolph than the young guys who've never played. At least you know what Rudolph can give you. And in a short time period, Mason Rudolph can win games where I'm not sure the answer to that with Howard or Aller, given the fact they've never been in that pressure cooker that are regular season games of the NFL. So that's why the case to be made for 4 quarterbacks can be made. I still believe when this thing started, they didn't think they were going to do that. They still might not, or they might. They've had incidents in the past where they've had quarterbacks who look like they all would make the rosters, and then there were trades. There could be a trade for one of these guys. Undetermined at this point, but if they all continue to play well, that's a nice problem to have. And so far, after one game, 27 of 33, very good percentage there of pass completions. And Aller, of all of them, looked the best. But then again, he was playing late in the second half when you were looking at 3rd and 4th stringers. Thanks for the call. Let's go to Chuck in Uniontown, joining us here on the hotline. Hello, Chuck.
Good evening, Bob. Thank you. Bob, about Paul Skenes, do you think it's better to, A, shut him down since postseason play is just about gone, or B, to give him the rest of the season to try to right himself? Also, do you think even if there's a winning season, I think this administration should be removed because they didn't make the playoffs? What do you think?
Well, I would agree with that if they don't, because it was Travis Williams, the president of the Pirates, who said the expectation this year is playoffs, full stop. If that's the expectation, you fell below it. And it would be one thing if it's 1 year of this, but it's 7 years under Ben Cherington. So I think when you're in that situation, the pressure's on. I think they did some really good moves. It's hard when you consider, I thought Cherington had one of the best trades he's ever made this year when he got Montgomery and Mangum and Brandon Lau for Mike Burrows. That was a home run. They brought in some signings. 2 of them worked, 1 didn't. And the one that didn't was the most expensive. So that's costly. And the bullpen was largely ignored too long. So these are all things that have to be, I would bet that it would be a change of regime, but we don't know that for sure. As far as Skenes is concerned, I would say if he's okay physically and there's nothing wrong there, I would continue to pitch him. But I also you know, they're still, you can make the case that they're out of it if you want to, but they're still technically alive. You go on a streak, you never know. Sports is weird. You win 10 in a row, which they have shown no indication they can do, but if that happened, he's a big part of this. So I'm not going to, unless they tell me there's something wrong with him, then I'm not shutting him down. Kevin Schaefer at KD Pomp on Twitter says, apparently all the Pirates needed to do to win a Skenes start was not to start him, which is pretty, that's a tough one there, Kevin. But yeah, the bottom line is he's not had success himself or when he starts as this team. So something's got to change there. We'll see what happens. Detroit is in town tomorrow for the first of 3 games. 412-575-2600. Jeremiah, anybody else on the line? Let's go to Joe in Monroeville. What's up, Joe?
Hey, Bob, thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
I'm calling about Paul Skenes. I think he overtrains on the days he pitches. You know that device he puts over his shoulders and does twists?
Well, it was working well the last 2 years, though.
It's, you know, he's also a little older than the last 2 years.
Still 24.
What I'm just trying to say is I think he just overworks himself when it's time for him to pitch. You know, he overtrains.
You know, I think it's worked for him. He has a routine. He's serious about his routine. It's worked well for him. This year, not so much. There's got to be a reason why the velo's down as much as it is. And I still think it has something to do with the World Baseball Classic. We tossed that out way back when it's happening, because he didn't stay the whole time. Neither did Skubal. And, you know, he got off to kind of a tough start, and then he got injured. So you can make the case that stuff, when you ramp up that early, can have a lingering effect, and that may be it. I hope it's not anything more than that, because that drop in velocity has really been stunning for him. When you're used to seeing him 100 miles an hour, 99, and the last start was 95, 96, 94 for that fastball. So we'll see him on Wednesday, and hopefully he can put that behind him and get back at it. They need him to be Paul Skenes, the Cy Young Award winner. 412-575-2600 is the number to call. The other thing that we're going to talk about tonight on the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown is pitching coaches, because, you know, it's interesting that Paul Skenes, you know, there are a lot of speculation that he had a lot to do with the Pirates moving on from Oscar Marin. I'm not sure if that's true or not. I mean, I've heard that kind of speculation, but it is kind of odd, I think you would agree, that Marin is there for his rookie year, which was really good. Marin was there for his Cy Young season, which was outstanding, and so they switch pitching coaches at that point. Now, some of the guys on their pitching staff have benefited from that, Braxton Ashcraft being one of them, I assume, but there's been more down than up. And so I wonder about that move to move on from Oscar Marin, who, at least in Paul Skenes' case, did a very good job. Not only that, but they had one of the top 5 ERAs in baseball as a pitching staff with Oscar Marin, and then they make a change like that. So Bill Murphy came in, or Bill Murphy, I should say, and things have not been the same. I wonder how much of that had to do with what we see, not only with Skenes, but the bullpen. Santana fell apart. We saw Justin Lawrence get DFA'd. Isaac Mattson had his problems. I'm not sure how that all works. They know, but it seemed interesting and odd that they would make a pitching coach change when the hitting was so bad and they retained the hitting coach. So if you want to put that much pressure on those guys, it still comes down to the player doing what the player has to do. The Skenes situation is a little nerve-wracking when you consider it's not just the velocity, but it's the control. He has not been in control of the game, and some of these hitters go 10 pitches deep, 9 pitches. So he's at 90 pitches in 5 innings, and you can't go beyond that, and that is a problem. He is so good when he's on. He gets you down in the count, and he works you from there. And so far this season, at least the second half of the season, the first 9 starts were good. Ever since then, it's been a problem. Control has also contributed to that problem. We'll take a break, come back with more. 412-575-2600. This is the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. Welcome back. We continue right here. Bob Pompeani with you until 11 o'clock. Join us for the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown, 11:35 KDKA tonight. I have a tweet here from Michael Andreski on Twitter at KDPomp. He says, no athlete is worth $30 million a year. Would he take a pay cut in 2027 if he falters in 26? Well, Michael, first of all, a lot of athletes are worth it because someone's paying it. They're making a lot of money, so they're giving to the people who provide the entertainment and the production. Number 2, in the NFL, unlike baseball, they don't guarantee the whole thing. The only thing that you get is the guarantee, whatever that may be. And that might be the biggest sticking point with Joey Porter Jr. How much guaranteed? Witherspoon got 101. He may want similar, or at least close. And if you falter, then they can cut you, and they owe you no more. So that's their way out of a situation. Back to the lines, we got Bob in Murraysville. Hey, Bob, how are you?
Good, Bob. How you doing? I was just wondering if you had any idea how Frivola is a leadoff hitter. I don't understand it.
I think they put him there today. That lefty, Patrick Sandoval, he hasn't hit all that much at leadoff this year. I wouldn't put him there, but the lefty was on. But also the lefty had kind of reverse splits. He was not that good against left-hand batters, which is why Lau is still in the lineup today. I thought maybe Horwitz would be in the lineup today because of those numbers. I mean, he's been far worse against lefties, which doesn't make sense, than he is against righties. But still, that was their lineup. They got away with it. They scored 8 runs. So bottom line is whatever they did worked today for sure. So they win 2 out of 3 against Boston. So coming up, we're going to find out a lot more, specifically about Caleb Johnson. You know, it's interesting to me that Travis Homer started for the Steelers. I guess we didn't expect Warren to play or Rico Dowdle, but I didn't expect Travis Homer. He is a special teams guy. He is listed as a running back. He got in there, and then Caleb Johnson got in there late. In fact, today at practice, he wasn't in there ahead of any of those guys. Eli Heidenreich got more. So is that a message being sent by Mike McCarthy, or is that just, you know, they soured on him for whatever reason? He made that, you know, faux pas last year, special teams against Seattle, and ever since then, it's been tough for him to gain any traction. He was the 3rd-round pick, had a lot of success at Iowa, and still a guy you'd think you'd want to keep around. But with Dowdle signing and with, you know, Homer occupying a running back spot, even though he's a special teamer mostly, that can make it very difficult when putting together a roster. So again, that's going to do it for us. Thank you for joining us. We got plenty more coming up tonight on KDKA News at 11 o'clock, followed by the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. And call us. We're on the air 7 nights a week right here from 10:35 until 11, KDK Plus, and on most nights 93.7. The Fan, when it doesn't conflict with Pirate baseball. Pirates and Tigers tomorrow. 2 more days of Steelers training camp, and that's it. And then they're back to Pittsburgh, preseason game number 2 on Friday, 7 o'clock, KDKA. I'm Bob Pompeani. Thanks so much for joining us. We do appreciate it. We'll do it again tomorrow night and every night right here on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. Have a good week.